Kal Kadosh Boker Or Bekiim Bahalacha 6 Siman Kuf Nun Tet 159. We are on Halacha Yutet 19. So the truth is, Rabbi Mansour spoke about this yesterday. If you remember where it's written, page 118. Okay, Halacha 19, where we're talking about seltzer bottles. So he says that you're allowed to do, right? It is permissible to use an antique seltzer bottle for Netilat Yadayim. When someone presses the trigger and the soda water shoots out, it's considered to be pouring with koach gavra. So this is what he already mentioned yesterday, and water dispensers, right? Water dispensers. So now he comes and he says like this, halacha kaf, right? Aksherim liten mayim al yadav. Who's kosher to put water on your hands? That means who could perform the netilat yadayim? So it says like this, akol aksherim liten mayim la yadayim. Everybody's going to be kosher to put the water on your hands, even a cheresh shotev katan. So even a chashu, cheresh shotev katan, a person that's not 100% capacitated, right, or deaf mute, or a child, a minor, they are allowed to do it. V'lechatchila. יכוון הנוטל או הנותן לשם נטילה, מכשירים, right, המכשיר לאכילה. Now he comes and he says, but לכתחילה, have that in your mind, right, that you're doing it for נטילת ידיים. So that's what it says over here. Look in the English where he says, whenever one pours water, right, he says, at least you should have in mind, right, that through his action, then he's going to be able to eat bread. Okay, so therefore, if one of these individuals pours the water, obviously that you're the one that has to have that in mind, because if they cannot have that in mind, so you're the one that's having it in mind.
The one that he's making.
No, not the one that's, he's the one that's doing the Netilat Yadayim. So if he's the one that's doing the Netilat Yadayim for you, he cannot have the kavanah. So you have to have that kavanah. You're the one that's receiving the water. Okay? So now he says, so you're allowed to come and litol yadav, even from a child which is less than 6 years old. You're allowed to do even lechatchila. And then you make the bracha of netilat yadayim. Right? So again, one more time, you're having in mind that you're doing it for the achila. So therefore the notel is going to have in mind that he's doing it for mitzvat netila. So look at 62. Although Maran ruled that it does not matter how young the child who pours the water on one's hands, the Ramah says that you should not allow a child that's going to be younger than 6 years old to do it, explaining that some poskim consider such a child no better than a monkey. The Ben Ish Chai and the Kaf HaChaim concurred with the Ramah's ruling. The Rishon LeZion pointed out that the Rambam Shulchan Aruch ruled that it makes no difference how young the child is. Furthermore, even if the child is the status of a monkey, Maran says that a monkey could do it, right? As long as you train the monkey to wash your hands, you're allowed to. Look in Halakha 25. So now again, although the Ramah says that you cannot use a monkey, he agreed that if someone did use a monkey, it's still going to be valid. So if so, you could for sure let a small child do it. Besides, the general rule is that the halachot of netilat yadayim, we always go like the lenient opinion. So therefore, again, one more time. Technically speaking, you have a child. Let's say it's a 4-year-old. Right? 4-year-old. He's going to come on the night of Pesach, and he wants to go to his grandfather, right? Or he wants to go to his father, and he wants to do him the netilat yadayim. Now you're going to say, no, you're under 6. Right? He says, 1 second. But why? According to Shulchan Aruch, any age is allowed to. Maybe he's got the set of a monkey. Well, even a monkey is allowed to do it. Even the Ramah that argues that a monkey cannot do it, but the Avad, he agrees that it does work. So therefore, if all these things play into place, whether it's going to be that technically speaking, even if he's going to be like a monkey, but a monkey is also allowed to do it. And even the Ramah says that it does work. So therefore, why in the world are you not going to go? We go, there's a general rule, we go lenient. So therefore, if we go lenient in the halachot of netilah, so therefore why wouldn't you be lenient in such a case? Okay? What about now having in mind to be able to eat bread? So the Lechabra pointed out that when someone has a child younger than 6 that's pouring the water, he has to have in mind that he's going to do the netilat yadayim for eating bread. So that means, again, the child is not having that in mind, but you're having that in mind. So he says, okay, just like it was above in Siman 158.13, it was explained that when a person pours on somebody else's hands, it's sufficient that either one of the two people have in mind that it's supposed to be for netilat yadayim to eat bread. So he says either or. So therefore he says over here, the person who wishes to eat now, he has to actually put that into his mind. In this case, if the adult has the necessary intentions, right, and it's performed properly, so then there's no problem, because the child, even if he doesn't have any kavanot at all, doesn't matter. If the adult does not have any particular intention, but the small child does have the intention, so then his intentions do not count. The Mishnah Berurah explained that the intentions of a child that are too young, right, they're not valid for a mitzvah. And therefore, again, if the adult does not have an intention, so that means like this. Usually, it's either or. Either the notel, right, or the one that's doing the throwing the water in your hands, they have to have the kavanah, one or the other. What happens if one cannot have it? So then the other one can have it. But he says, what happens if he's a small child and you are the adult and you are not having that intention? And they are the child and they have the intention. If he's so young, it doesn't count. So if it doesn't count, now you have a problem. So therefore, he says that's why if the adult does not have the intentions, it's going to be a problem. You would have to do Netilat Yadayim. You would have to do it without the beracha. Okay. What about now Ashkenazim in such a case? So he says like this. So practice. One second. So the practice of Ashkenazic Jews, right? Ashkenazic Jews do not allow a child younger than 6 years old to pour the water on an adult's hands. Right now, again, for the Ashkenazim, it makes sense because if you're going to tell me according to the Ashkenazim, he counted it like a monkey, and monkeys already the Rama says that you cannot do it. Okay, but lechatchila not, so therefore don't do it. The Mishnah Berurah, however, pointed out that according to the Gaon Mivilna, he ruled leniently. He ruled like Shulchan Aruch. A child, he explained, cannot be equated to a monkey. A monkey is not a human being at all. So in pours, it's not an act of koach gavra. A child, he may pour, and that is an act of a koach gavra. So basically, what he's trying to say is that you can't even compare a monkey, right, to a human being. So therefore, he says the Gaon Mivilna went like the Shulchan Aruch, not like the Rama. So he says the Magen Avraham pointed out that the Rama disqualified a small child from performing the act of pouring water on the adult's hands, but it's certainly permissible for a child to fill the container with water and to bring it to an adult who will then pour it on his hands. According to everybody, even if you're going to tell me that the child cannot do the Netilat Yadayim, he could fill up the cup. So he's going to fill up the cup. He brings it to you, and then you do it. That's according to everybody. There's nobody that argues on that. So therefore, that's the Magen Avraham. He says that there's no problem with that whatsoever. So that was the until halacha kaf. Halacha kaf aleph. Goy kasher liten maim layadayim. Yeah, so goy is permitted to come and to put the water on their hands. But lechatchila, be careful not to do it from a goy. But for sure, if he brings it the water, so then you could do the netilat yadayim yourself. And if you're going to be careful of this, even with this, you will get heavenly blessings. Okay. Now again, this is a Ben Ishchai. He doesn't actually explain the reasons. Okay. Nida halacha kav bet. Nida. She's also permitted. Right? He says that means we're talking about that there's no problem of the nidah for you. So therefore it's going to be your mother, sister, or daughter when they're nidos. Right? When they're nidot. Not the wife. Or a nidah, she could do it to her friend. Right? But it's better to be careful in such things. Again, the same thing. She could bring you the kli, put it down, and then you could wash your hands yourself. Again, it's going to be tavo bracha also in this.